Destiny 2's final episode for the Light and Darkness saga, Heresy, is finally here. And after struggling for a few hours to actually get into the game, the opening intro is arguably the best Bungie has ever done for a seasonal story. Heresy is off to a hell of a start. We've already put out our first reactions of the first mission. And let me just say, guys, the stakes are extremely high, something that I feel has been missing from our seasonal narratives. With that being said, though, today we have a guide on how Heresy works. Everything that we could figure out, at least in the first day, how the Nether activity works, how upgrades work, and of course, the seasonal weapons that are dropping. And what makes these weapons even more interesting is that adept versions of these weapons are dropping, which have a different look. You also have your curated rolls, or what people used to call in the past shiny rolls, that have the double trade options, although it's kind of hard to call these shinies considering that the adept versions look physically different. But if you look in the API, you can actually get a shiny adept roll, or so it says. I have not come across that yet, but we're supposed to have the ability at some point to obtain not only an adept drop, but an adept drop with 2 traits in columns 3 and column 4, and of course the ability to roll 2 origin traits on a single weapon. That's pretty nasty, guys. So without further ado, let's begin. Now, to start things off, you should be thrown into the first mission of Heresy called Espio. Now, this is pretty straightforward stuff here. Just follow the markers on your screen telling you where to go. There's some bosses throughout and some pretty important cutscenes that I really don't want to spoil for you guys if you haven't seen it already, but spicy stuff. Now, once you're through the first mission, you'll make your way to the last city where you'll be visiting Eris's apartments. We're going to touch more on this in depth here later in the video, but this is the location of your season's vendor. This is also where you're going to go to pick up the Heresy artifact, the Tablet of Ruin, as well as the Act 1 quest, Echoed Warnings. Now, once you've picked up the quest, you'll now be at step 7 of 21. This step will task you to venture into the Nether to assess and stem the spread of corruption, as well as gather recon by clearing encounters and slaying enemies within the Nether. Now, for this, you'll be entering into an exploration version of the Nether, which is a slightly easier version of this episode's activity. Now, if you're already through these quest steps and want to learn more in depth about the Nether, we're gonna have timestamps that you can skip to down below. Now, for this portion of the quest, to progress here, you're gonna need to gather combatant recon, which you can get from defeating enemies. And then the other part of the quest is to collect dark ritual recon, which you get from each of the 3 bosses. Essentially, for this, guys, you want to do a full run of the Nether to complete this quest step. Now, the next quest step will have you travel to the Dreaming City. You're gonna meet with Sloan in the Spine of Keris. Essentially, just load into the Dreaming City, guys, and you're gonna go here and hang a left. Here, you're gonna deal with a bunch of taken enemies. You're gonna destroy some blights, and the only thing you really need to watch out for are those big eyes in the sky. If they look at you for too long, you will gain stacks of suffocating terror, which actually has a cool death animation. If you die and when you revive, you're taken, which is kind of wild. But if you're hoping to avoid this, just dip behind cover or just move a lot. Now, after dealing with all the enemies and destroying all the taken blights, you'll start acquiring some of Sloan's taken power through a pretty cool animation. This is strictly story-based as of right now. There isn't any taken subclass or anything, although I'm out here coping, man. Next up, you'll head back to Eris's apartment to the shaping slab and receive some rewards. The next quest step after that, you'll need to acquire the Tome of Want, and you get this at Reputation Rank 3. And if you're not at Reputation Rank 3, guys, just run the Nether one more time, which actually takes us to the Nether portion of this guide. Now, as mentioned, our activity for Heresy Act 1 is called the Nether. This is our new 3-player seasonal activity for Heresy, which takes place on the Dreadnoughts. Now, this activity has us moving through 3 main areas, completing 3 main objectives in each to progress. Now, the areas that you encounter, as well as their order and the objectives, are all completely random. As of week 1, there are 4 different areas, those being the Trenchway, the Mausoleum, the Founts, and the Hall of Souls. And what we could potentially be seeing is different areas being added week over week, or at least that's what we hope. As Bungie did say during the live stream that this activity would be expanding with new pathways as well as more secrets. Now, there are 3 different difficulties for this activity. Advanced, which is your normal difficulty. Expert, which is a little more challenging but offers better rewards. And then finally, a new option called Explore Mode. This makes the combatants substantially easier while also providing more revive tokens for you and your allies. Now, this game mode is perfect if you're just looking to explore. Maybe you're trying to get some secret triumphs done without having to worry about enemies too much. And before you say, wow, Bungie just went ahead and just made everything super easy now, keep in mind a major factor about the Nether activity is that your health does not regenerate naturally. Health is actually a resource in this game mode. You'll need to actually find health pickups to sustain it and rely on a variety of different ways to get your health back that many people have kind of overlooked in the past, whether that's been Lumina, the support auto rifle frame. I was even told that the Unrelenting perk was doing really good in this game mode. Now, to counteract this change though, Bungie has given us 300 health as well as more shield. But I will say, guys, at least initially when playing this game mode, you almost got to go in there and kind of like reframe your mind on how you go go about encounters, because for the most part when we play everything else in Destiny, because we get our health back and our shields back, we just go barreling in head first. Now I do want to mention that the healing effects from your healing rifts and your healing auto rifles, those have been severely reduced inside of this activity. It still heals you, but it has been dialed back quite a bit. I think Lumina is the big one that's navigating around this, which actually sounds great because I actually would love for Lumina to see some use, considering how good of a support weapon it is. But Bungie has acknowledged already in a tweet that they are looking to improve the healing from healing auto rifles and other healing builds, with a fix plan sometime next week. So for my folks rocking those other healing options, if you don't feel really good about them right now, hopefully they'll receive some love here soon. Now, another major factor in this Nether activity is that there are boons that are present here, which can be a variety of things to help you out in combat, and these come in a form of minor, major, and corrupted boons. Minor boons provide slight benefit. For example, slight increases to grenade ability recovery, or small chance for enemies to drop health pickups. These can also be gained multiple times, stacking up to times 10, providing further increases at each stack. Major boons provide even more benefits, but with the catch of only being able to hold 5 at a time. An example of this would be getting special ammo when defeating enemies with grenades, melees, or your super. Now, this may not sound crazy, but ammo drops are dialed back quite a bit in the Nether, which makes a boon like this very valuable. Now, corrupted boons are the ones that really spice things up. These are the ones that give you one very powerful positive, but also a strong negative. For example, you may be able to increase all your outgoing damage by a substantial amount, but this also increases the damage that you receive. And let me just say, in expert version of the Nether, this is very noticeable. Like, you're pretty much getting one-tapped by anything and everything. So if you are gonna rock this boon, definitely have some means of damage resistance to help you out. Now, in each one of these areas, you're gonna find chests as well as these destination materials that kind of look like sea urchins that are scattered all throughout. This is where having the Wombo Detector Ghost mod equipped is an absolute must. And you're gonna wanna loot these chests, guys. They drop sigil shards, which are actually used to get upgrades at the seasonal vendors, but more importantly, they have a chance to drop weapons. And the chances seem pretty high. Now, among these chests, you'll also find these taken chests, which require 2 Essence of Desire to open and will always drop a specific seasonal weapon. Now, every time we open these, we always got the same weapon, just different rolls. You can actually get an upgrade via the runic enhancement called Scopic Rune, which causes weapon icons to become visible above the taken chests, which will allow you to see which weapons you'll be opening. Now, how do you go about actually earning these Essence of Desire? Well, one way we found was actually turning in these 10 meta-sized Essentia. These are your destination materials, so those sea urchins that you've been acquiring. You essentially go to this altar in Eris's apartments, and this gives you loot as well as 10 essence each time. Now, something to keep in mind when picking these up is you'll notice they show up as white. This is because you don't actually earn these as rewards until you defeat the boss in your current area. It's upon killing the boss that all the white versions in your inventory will then convert into green, meaning if you want to leave the mission, you can now leave without losing any of them. So remember, don't load in, pick up a bunch, then just dip. You don't even have them, fellas. You got to kill the boss in that area in order to keep them in your inventory. Now, you can also earn essence after completing runs of the Nether, and we ran 1 Vanguard op and received 1 essence. But I am being told it is dropping in various core playlist activities, and hopefully harder difficulty strikes has a higher drop chance. Now, along with the chests, you'll see these urns all around. And if you remember the coil, they actually look similar to those urns then. But these are also very important as they can drop a whole host of things, from health pickups to special and heavy ammo, to elemental pickups, to even revive tokens. So definitely keep an eye out for these. Now, on to actually doing the Nether activity. As mentioned before, each room that you randomly enter will have 3 main objectives that you must complete to spawn in the boss, and upon defeating the boss, you will earn rewards and are then able to progress to the next area. Now, each area has a bunch of different objectives that will randomly appear in set locations. Now, if at any point, if you ever find yourself getting lost and you don't know where to go, just pull out your ghost, guys. This will actually show you the star markers, which will indicate a main objective that you need to do. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these encounters, as that would literally take a 45-minute long video. This one's already long enough, but I am going to quickly show off the 3 locations in each area, as they stay the same across all runs. First up, in the Trenchway, which is the area here on the outside of the Dreadnought that has the big boss Tormentor in the middle. The locations for these objectives are as follows. Next up is the Mausoleum. This is the area you come to in the opening quest where you encounter Eris and the Drifter, and the locations here are as follows. Now moving on, we have the founts, which is the area with these freaky hive grinder things in the middle. You can just follow along here, guys. And lastly, we have the Hall of Souls, which most of you should recognize as the Court of Oryx. These are located here. Now, the objectives themselves are pretty straightforward. Most just boil down to just killing a bunch of enemies or capturing a plate or a specific location. And that's really it. Now, once you complete the objective, this will reward you with either a major or minor boon. And I will say one of my only gripes with this activity is that the boons are really easy to miss sometimes. So definitely kind of just be paying attention to your screen, guys, and make sure like, okay, I'm completing this objective. And once I do, I need to make sure I pick up my boon because that plays a pivotal role in your lethality throughout this entire run. Now, upon doing these 3 main objectives, this will then spawn in the big boss. Now, one thing to keep an eye out for on either normal or expert mode is throughout the activity, taken blights will spawn in and will task you with destroying them. And you'll actually see this pop up on your screen that literally says it will wipe you and your entire team. Pay attention to this, guys. This essentially means that you need to run around, find those blights, and shoot them out. And again, pull out your ghost and you can literally see where those objectives are. Now, alongside these main objectives, you also have secrets or side objectives that are littered throughout the area. A rule of thumb is that if you see your ghost icon in the top right of your screen, that means there is still a secret left in that area. As when you complete all the secrets, this icon will then disappear. Now, when you complete these, you'll always see text that says a secret of the Dreadnought has been found, which will then spawn a chest. Now, like the main objectives, there's quite a few here, guys, and we'll be here all day if I had to explain each one of these, but I'm gonna go over the one that actually gave me a bit of trouble. In the Hall of Souls, you may come across this ravenous thrall, who when you kill, will respawn over and over. For this one, you need to actually lead this thrall along this path that you see us taken here, and you'll reach this patch of hive worms, which will then cause the thrall to spawn an acolyte, who you'll also need to lead to another worm patch. Then upon reaching this, a knight will spawn, which upon killing will complete the secrets. There's also these Tolan orbs that you have to run over. You'll essentially just touch them, you'll shoot off, you'll follow it around a few times, which at the end will spawn a chest. And again, these chests are really good as they not only have a weapon drop, but they also have boons. Now, I know we mentioned Ares' apartment earlier on, which you should be able to access shortly after the cutscene and completing the intro mission. Now, this essentially serves as your vendor hub for Heresy. In the corner of the room, you have the Shaping Slab Resolve, where you can see your reputation progress, your reputation rewards, and the heretical ritual upgrades. First up, under heretical ritual, we have the runic enhancements, which are upgrades that you can acquire to enhance your capabilities in Heresy activities. Now, there's an enhancement level here, which determines the maximum power of runes that can be slotted, and these increase with every 2 reputation ranks that are earned. Now, our level 1 enhancement runes cost is 100 sigil shards to purchase. Level 2 enhancement rune costs 150 sigil shards to purchase. And then level 3, its rune costs 200 sigil shards to purchase. Now, these are one-time purchases, and you can equip and unequip them to slot in different runes as you please, as long as you have enough levels to slot them in. For example, I'm rank 4 and I have 2 enhancement levels, so I can slot in 2 level 1 runes or a single level 2 rune. Now, the runes include these level 1 runes, one being a rising rune where your first death does not consume a revive token, prosperity rune, which harvesting materials provide sigil shards, essential rune where you retain a small portion of the meta-sized essentia on activity failure, and recuperation rune where healing orbs reduce ability cooldowns. Your level 2 runes kick it up a bit more with renewal rune, which fully heals after completing a midnight encounter, defense rune where healing orbs provide an overshield, scotopic rune where weapon icons become visible above those taken chests. And then for our level 3 enhancement runes, you've got plentiful rune, which gives you +1 during major boon selections. Beneficence rune, boon selection occurs at activity starts and may be a major or corrupted boon. And then healing rune, healing orbs are more effective. Now, these rune upgrades can be slotted and unslotted at the vendor itself in Ares' apartment or at the beginning of a Nether run when you first spawn in, with the exception of beneficent rune. This one can only be slotted or unslotted at the Shaping Slab. Now, Now, the other set of upgrades at the shaping slab are called Mysterium, which are used to enhance your minor boons within the Nether. They essentially all just allow you to gain an additional stack when you select that particular minor boon. You got one for Paracausal Health, Orb Collector, Swift Assassin, Regenerating Strike, Classical Recharge, Grenade Recharge, Protection Bosses, Herald of the Sky, and Herald of the Deep. Now, there aren't upgrades, at least not yet, for every single minor boon, but there is a decent amount. Now, in the game, it isn't very specific on how to acquire these upgrades. It simply just says to gather instances of this minor boon in the Nether. Now, guys, I spent some time testing this, but I couldn't come to a conclusion on how many you need to collect in order to unlock this upgrade. However, if we do find a definitive number, I promise you we'll have an updated pinned comment down below to let you know. So far, we've just earned a few by just regularly playing the Nether and collecting minor boons like normal. Now, these were all rare upgrades. There's also a legendary one below them called Ritual Potency. It reads that your rituals grow stronger, allowing you to claim additional rewards before your Tome of Want is drained power. Now, it says to uncover pinnacle secrets in the Nether. Still working on this, guys. I wish I could come to you with all the answers, but this is definitely a work in progress guide. Now, another feature in Heresy's apartment is this orb in the corner, which allows you to dunk 10 metastasized essentia. These are the things that you gather throughout your time playing in the Nether. Now, when you dunk them, it will actually provide you a pretty good amount of rewards. I got Season of Arrival weapons from this, enhancement prisms, enhancement cores, and multiple Essence of Desires, which is a vital resource. And for my players that remember Season the Deep, this actually has some similarities where we could dunk our fish for rewards, or even in Echoes, where we used to be able to dunk our materials at the helm. Now let's talk about the Tome of Want. This is essentially replacing the potion system that we had back in Revenant. You're going to unlock this after leveling up the Shaping Path. You'll level your vendor to rank 3, along with the quest that walks you through how the Tome of Want works. Now, there's actually two parts to this: the Tome Engravings and the Ritual Rites. The Tome Engravings are for the boost to our artifact mods. Starting out, you should have one already, which is Engraving King's Vestige. Now, this reads that it boosts the King's Vestige artifact mod to where defeating a volatile target grants class ability energy. However, I do believe this is actually meant for volatile marksmen, as that is boosted in my artifact, and King's Vestige does not actually have a boost. As for more boosts, we're not sure how to get them all yet, but at Heresy's Flat, there's a rank reward for the Engraving Dielectric to then boost that artifact mod, and it could be that the others are actually time gated. Now, the next section of the Tome of Want is the Ritual Rites. This is how you focus for gear and materials this episode. Now, it's pretty simple how this works. You pick a scripture, you use some seasonal materials to apply the Ritual of Desire. This will then give you 3 ritual charges, giving you rewards once your progress bar reaches 100%. And now you'll see that there's 2 different boxes where you can apply scriptures. The first is for rare scriptures, where you choose the category that you want to focus in. There's episodic weapons, episodic armor, reprisal weapons, world armor, as well as currency and materials. Now, you could just stop here if you want and just choose one of these. For example, if you went with episodic weapon, you would essentially have a random chance of receiving any of the Heresy weapons that are currently available. This is also the cheapest option, as it only costs 2 Essence of Desire to activate. Now, you can take this a step further, and in the second box, equip a legendary scripture, which allows you to focus for a specific reward. For example, if you do a rare scripture for episodic weapons, you could then directly focus for the auto rifle, or the linear, or the sword, grenade launcher, or machine gun. Now, the rare scriptures are completely free to equip. It just costs the 2 essence to activate the ritual. However, the legendary scriptures, those cost 100 sigil shards to equip. Now, if you equip both a rare and a legendary scripture, this does increase the cost to activate it up to now 5 Essence of Desire. Now, activating any rare or legendary scriptures would then allow you to earn 3 rewards before you need to activate another scripture again, which I think is pretty fair for the price. Now, once activated, how do you actually earn the rewards? It's actually simple. You can get progress by completing activities, defeating powerful combatants, and episodic activities as well, and by defeating guardians. You can do this right in the Nether activity, and you should be able to knock out all 3 rewards within a single run, and likely still have time to activate another scripture as well. Now, we do have a few cheeses available for this. You can actually load up into a private PvP match, and if you had some teammates that can join you, you can just kill them over and over again. Might take a while, but each kill does give you 10% progress. So within 10 kills, you'll earn 1 reward. And you can just keep doing this, invite your friend and kill him 30 times, and you can get all 3 rewards. Another decent way is actually the Shattered Throne boss checkpoint. We've covered this numerous times in the past, but essentially, when you kill the knights and you pick up the buff, upon nuking the boss with Warcliffe Coil, this will give you 80% progress. Now, you will need to do 2 runs for 1 reward, but considering that it literally takes you like a minute and a half to do, I think for my PvE players, this one's pretty pretty fast. At the same time, keep in mind, guys, this is not something that you just have to heavily optimize. Just playing the Nether activity, getting other rewards naturally. The ritual rites are just that added cherry on top that also allows you to target specific loots. And whether it's core playlist activity or private crucible matches, you do need to keep in mind, guys, you aren't actually earning sigil shards here or essences. Those will require you to be in the Nether activity. Now, there is one more scripture that I wanted to mention, and that is the exotics. These seem to be randomly earned by opening chests in the Nether and are a one-time use, similar to Revenants. The possible rewards for these are ascended alloys, ascended shards, or an exotic engram. And you can actually focus directly for the one you want as well. Choosing a rare weapon scripture will focus for an alloy, and a rare armor scripture will focus for a shard. And then the currency scripture will focus for an exotic engram. Now, the price for activating an exotic scripture is 5 Essence of Desire, but the ritual will only provide you with 1 reward instead of 3. Keep in mind, guys, throughout all of this, the old tonic system from Revenant still exists, which in my opinion might even be better material-wise than this new system. Hell, maybe you can even double up. Now, there's also quests that you get pretty early on. If you're following the Act 1 quest, this is called Tome of Want, a primer. Now, this quest essentially walks you through how to use the Tome of Want, where step 1 is to activate a Ritual of Desire, step 2 is to power up your tome, and step 3 is to activate a ritual with a legendary scripture and power it up. Now, step 4 has you activate an exotic scripture, and then step 5 is to get 15 rewards total from your Tome of Want. So again, you can just follow this quest. It'll basically walk you through the basics for the tome. I will say at some point you may have to get some more materials, essences for sure, which of course requires you to go back into the Nether activity, but always feel free to check your battle pass, as the later rankings also have essences. Now, with the Tome of Want quest completed, that essentially wraps things up for week 1. We'll need to wait till week 2 to continue doing this quest. I know most people don't like time gates. I don't either. Hopefully the coming weeks won't drag it out too much. Now, in terms of rewards for Act 1 of Heresy, we have the Adamantite auto rifle. This is a strand support frame auto. We have the Psycho Pump, which is the arc aerial denial grenade launcher, the Abyssal Edge, which is the strand waveframe sword, the Eyes Unveiled, the Void linear fusion rifle, and the Watchful Eye, which is an arc machine gun. Additionally, Afterlight, which is a fusion rifle, as well as the bow Animesis, are also dropping, which I believe was supposed to be Act 2 weapons, but hell, I'll take it. Now, the Tome of Want is not the only way to get loot. You can also, of course, acquire it from the Nether activity itself, which, as mentioned, the drops from the Nether are pretty plentiful, which is great to see since there is no weapon crafting for these seasonal weapons. You got your 3 bubbles, with each one providing a chest after defeating the boss, which can then drop weapons and sometimes multiple weapons. Then if you're going out of your way to explore, you'll find more chests, which also have a chance to drop those weapons, along with taken chests, which are the ones that require 2 Essence of Desire to open. But these, of course, seem to guarantee a weapon every time that you open them up, which is why that level 2 Scatopic rune unlock is super beneficial here. Now, if you tuned into Bungie's Heresy livestream last week, you may have remembered them showing off these shiny adept weapons. So how do you get them? Well, there seems to be 2 versions of these. One is the actual adept variant of the weapon. The other is the normal version of the weapon that comes masterworked with double traits and 2 origin traits. Now, these seem to be randomly dropping from chests. I wasn't finding any particular way to get them, but myself and my editing squad amassed a few throughout our various runs of the Nether activity that really just came down to RNG. Now, there is a way to get a guaranteed pre-masterworked weapon per week, and that is through your seasonal challenges. This week's challenge is for the sword, which tasks you to defeat combatants with sword final blows, with bonus progress being awarded in Heresy activities and by defeating guardians. Now, for me at least, this did come already masterworked. It also does have 2 origin traits. However, it's not an adept. Now, in terms of the actual adepts, I personally didn't get any from normal Nether runs, only from the expert difficulty runs. Not saying that it's impossible to get it in normal difficulty, but it does seem that the drop chances are higher in expert. But let us know, guys, how your runs have been dropping. I will say that the quote-unquote term shiny really should be applied to these adept drops, because they actually look different. They have a shiny drop to them. They're golden. The issue is that all of the adept drops that my team and I got, none of them had the double traits, and none of them had the second origin traits, which from what Bungie showed us and explained in their live stream, it seems like the adepts were supposed to be the ones with all the bells and whistles. However, when I go and look at the API, whether it's D2 Foundry, Light GG, you can see that there's actually 2 versions of, say, Adamantite. However, one with Runneth Over, the second origin traits, and the other one only having Willing Vessel, which is the original origin trait. Meaning, we actually have 2 variations, at least in the API, of our adept weapons, which is kind of strange to me, guys. I even put out a tweet asking folks if they have gotten an adept shiny drop, and only only one person replied back with a screenshot of their adamantite with double traits in columns 3 and column 4 and the 2 origin traits. So without a doubt, guys, they exist. They're just stupid rare. Now, the other new loot addition that we have this episode is the introduction of fragile mods. These are mods that are specific to the episodic weapons that only last for the length of the episode and season, which I actually like a lot because it's just another reason why you should be using the new stuff. For Heresy Act 1, we have the Power of Resolve, which you can get from the Shaping Slab Resolve in Eris's apartment at rank 4. Now, this mod reads that rapid hits with this weapon emits a taken secret projectile, strong against unstoppable champions, and this weapon is also overcharged when that modifier is active. Now, this can only be applied on the weapons with the Willing Vessel or Paracausal Fluid origin traits. Again, those are the episodic weapons and the reprised Season of Arrival weapons. Now, this seems to be the only one we have access to currently, but I'm pretty sure Bungie said there was one more available in Act 1 as well, with more being added in Acts 2 and Acts 3. Now, there's also fragile ghost mods that you can actually earn randomly when opening chests in the Nether. You can equip these in that very last slot of your ghost mod, and these fragile ghost mods increases the chance to collect specific minor boons in the Nether activity. Now, according to LightGG, there's about 10 of these that you can unlock that you can use on your ghosts. For example, minor boons, abilities, increases the chance to collect Regenerating Strike, Classical Recharge, and Grenade Recharge. You also got minor boons Brawl, which increases the chance of Orb Collector, Regenerating Strike, and Protection Bosses. What this allows you to do, guys, is to kind of just focus on specific boons for your specific build, rather than having all of these boons be completely random, which may not be what you want paired with whatever build you're trying to use. Now, ending off this video, we got a few things that we want to quickly touch on that we just don't know about yet. Perhaps as more time passes on, we're going to learn more, but unfortunately, the launch day was not great, and there was quite a long period of time that the team and I just couldn't play the game. First of all, we've got the exotic SMG Barrow Dyad. Considering this was just shown off in Bungie's open live stream, we were under the assumption that this should be available during Act 1. So far, though, we have found no clues for it. It's not in the API yet, but its intrinsic upgrades and catalysts are, which to me makes it seem like it's going to be the Act 3 exotic mission reward, but that has not been confirmed yet. I do find it odd that Bungie showed it off this early, but maybe it's because we don't have any exotic armor pieces. Who knows? I don't believe this is the dungeon exotic, though. You can actually view that on LightGG. It's been pretty much leaked at this point. Not going to spoil it for you, but we'll be keeping an eye out for the SMG if something ends up popping up. The next thing we're not sure about are these collectible worms that you'll find throughout the Nether. And under the triumphs, you can see that there are 10 of these that can be collected. So far, our team has only been able to find 8. We searched all around for the last 2, but still couldn't find it. These could be time gated, but if you happen to find the final 2, please let us know. Guys, I hope this guide explained things in a coherent way. I will say that this activity is unusual, and this guide is a bit more unusual because things are not really laid out in the normal ABC pattern that we've had in the past with Bungie. I do hope that this layout is something that people find more appealing, though, as the previous systems have gotten pretty stale. Let me know, though, in the comments below what you think. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.